There are certain things you can just count on when March rolls around,
Yeah.
okay? Thing number one is that mesquite tree in my front yard always gets those little yellow buds, and my allergies always follow. Number two, your love affair with U of A basketball is in full freaking bloom. Always. Until they lose in, like, the second round of the NCAA tournament.
Second round.
And then you'll be like, I never believed in this team. I hated this team. They're no good. It's a rite of spring. It's a rite of March. It happens every single year.
Down goes Kansas.
Thank you for enduring
Down
it with
goes
us
Kansas.
here on the Burns Gambo show. 6 teams, and only 6 teams so far. This is according to OverTheCap.com.
Okay, I like this.
Have spent more than the Arizona Cardinals so far this free agency period. The
Only
Vikings,
6 teams.
Only 6 teams. The Vikings, the Patriots, the Giants, the Seahawks, the Panthers, and the Broncos. They have all spent more than the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals have spent $161.6 million on contracts so far during this free agency period. And the fact that it's the 7th highest in the NBA, I mean, right? Like,
and the heavy lifting is done. I reported that the other day. After they got Tomlinson, that was pretty much it. They're going to look at the roster for depth signings and competitions. They went out and got an offensive lineman yesterday. They got with just a depth guy, minimum contract. Same thing, wide receiver today. I expect that's going to be a minimum contract. Just plug some holes with depth and competition. And again, most of the signings now, this is what they're going to be. There are no difference makers left, so you're going to see a bunch of these type of signings. There are some big names out there, but that doesn't mean that they're difference makers at this point in their career.
I don't bring up this number as like a see, told you so kind of moment because I don't like doing the I told you so thing.
Oh,
but
okay.
I do think there were some people who just weren't sure if they were going to spend. I think there were some people who were leery that the Arizona Cardinals, with cap space to spend, were actually going to spend it just based off of, for no other better way to describe it, them being them. You know, it's the Arizona Cardinals. I'll believe it when they see it, sort of thing. I don't know how many people felt that way. I don't know what percentage I would put on it, but I think that was out there.
I think it's fair.
I said, well, it kind of is, you know? I mean, It's like you just, okay, I need
reality.
I need to know that you're going to do this. And so when I saw this, and like, oh, okay, 7th most in the NFL with 9 players being signed, not counting what left to be done.
You're proud of the Cardinals.
That sounds so patronizing. No, it was just reaffirming. It's not proud. It was just reaffirming to me that they understood what was at stake this offseason.
Yeah.
Show us how badly you want this and what you're willing to do to go get it. Show us.
I think they answered the call.
I think they totally answered the call.
They answered the call. I mean, you're saying they spent $161 million and only 6 teams have spent more money than they have. They got themselves the best edge rusher they could have gotten.
Yep.
They got themselves one of the best defensive tackles that they could have gotten. And they added some depth in other positions that they needed. And, I think that they can, and they kept some of their own players that they really wanted to keep. It's very important for them to keep some of the players that they kept. Especially on the offensive line, on the defensive line, like that was important to do. So I think now there's still room. Like I'm not saying there's still room to spend money on players, but I think all the heavy lifting done, no big difference makers out there. All the deals being signed right now are 1-year deals. I think I was talking with Howard Balzer about this earlier. Like all the deals today were just, let me see, 16 unrestricted free agents today so far, all 1-year deals. Mm-hmm. All of them.
We're at that phase.
We're at that phase, right?
That phase, yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Everybody right now just wants to be on a team.
Pro Football Focus gave out their grades for free agency so far. And again, with, like you say, the bulk of the heavy lifting being done, they gave the Cardinals a B. It's interesting. The way they grade each individual deal is kind of like, okay, here's our grade for the player. Here's how much money they got. Is it worth it? Did they get value for the player? And for every single major player the Cardinals signed, Dalvin Tomlinson, L.J. Collier was a re-sign, Zay Jones was a re-sign, Jacoby Brissett, and Baron Browning. Those 5, Pro Football Focus graded the deal as average. Okay, that's an average deal. For what they paid and what they got,
average
that's about
deal.
Average. The only one that was an above average deal for Pro Football Focus was Josh Sweat.
Josh Sweat, above average deal.
Above average. Go ahead.
3 years, $54 million. You said it when they signed him. Like you were a little surprised that it came in under $20 million. It was $19 million a year. I think, on the average annual value. And that's, for a play like Josh Sweat, that was a good signing. Like, that was a good signing. This guy had options to go other places. I look at that deal and I'm like, okay, that's a really really fair contract. 4 years, $76 million, 41 guaranteed. Their projection was 3 years, $54 million with $32 million guaranteed. That's why they rated that an above average deal.
Yeah, and I think, look, there weren't that many teams that got great grades. I mean, I always like context on this one. I think there were maybe a half dozen teams, maybe one more than that got A's on this thing. So no one's going to, nobody, I saw Kyle Brandt about this today on Good Morning Football, and he's not wrong. No, you shouldn't get that excited about winning the offseason. Win the season. Winning the offseason's fine. Win the season is the thing that matters the most. But again, it feels like the Cardinals were smart with their money, spending it on the guys they needed to spend it on, certainly bringing back the guys that they wanted to. And this time a week ago, we were previewing the week, and we just weren't sure what we were getting into. Ooh. I'm here a week later, and I'm very, very satisfied with the work the Cardinals have done this week. Very satisfied.
I really like where you're going with this, with the brand comment, because I think that there is – I agree that it's win the regular season, right? You can't really – everybody – winning the offseason is hard to do, right? Because you're going to overpay for guys – you're going to draft guys. Everybody's going to love your draft, and a lot of times it doesn't work out that well. But I think there's another angle here. I think you could lose the offseason. I think you could lose it if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles with all the massive losses, if I'm the 49ers right now. So I think I don't know if you agree with this.
100% I agree.
I think it's easier to lose the offseason than it is to win it.
Yeah.
You could lose it when you lose 5 or 6 good players because your cap situation is a freaking disaster because your GM botched everything. Winning it is like, okay, you're going to overpay for guys. Good players you're going to overpay for them. How do you really win that? So I think it's easier to lose it.
And I think the Cardinals could have lost this offseason by not doing what they did this week, by not getting Josh Sweat, by not getting Milton Williams, by not getting one of the elite guys that were out there in free agency, by not addressing the positions they did. If we're here a week later and the Cardinals didn't get Josh Sweat or didn't get Milton Williams or didn't do, like if they spent their money in a way that didn't really address the needs, they could have lost this offseason. I agree with you completely. I think that's a really good point.
You can lose it.
You can't win it but you can lose it. You can lose it.
Yeah,
and the Cardinals could have lost it and they didn't.
There's definitely teams out there that are losing free agency. We saw teams with Fs. So it happens.
Thanks for watching Burns Gambo. Click to see more from the guys and hit the button in the middle to subscribe so you never miss a video from Arizona sports.